Chapter 1. Monkey D. Roger. In the Marine Headquarters, Marineford. You can see a large number of the headquarters recruit running and training in a wide square. A group recruits separated from the other and continued to widen the distance from the others at the back, how to catch up to them. A young handsome youth thought. While looking in front of him, Roger made a tired expression. Even a group of the Marine recruits are catching up, this joke is just too much. Just a month ago, Roger found himself inexplicably in the world of One Piece. He also became the marine hero Monkey D. Garp nephew, that is Luffy's uncle. This is 11 years after the Great Age of Pirates. Roger was so scared when he arrived here, well it isn't that surprising. After all, if you suddenly found yourself in another world, anyone would feel scared. The world of One Piece is his favorite world. He couldn't help but get excited when he thought about the devil fruit's ability and the sword that could cut a mountain like nothing. Well, Roger think this is a perfect start. After all, his Garp's nephew. He was close to the world's strongest people. But who would have thought that just 2 days after coming here he would be thrown into Marineford's training camp? Originally Roger wouldn't feel great about going to the marine training camp. He estimated that all the people here don't know about Rokushiki. But the problem is that they don't understand it as much as Roger. The problem is that all of them are more powerful than him. The others have been here for a month. Even when he worked hard to catch up, it was still hard to do so. This made Roger helpless. Here is the Marines' headquarters. In this camp almost all recruit are elites. The admirals like Kisaru and Akainu all started from this training camp. Thinking to hear Roger felt the heavy duty. He also felt helpless. If he cannot be outstanding in this training camp, he estimated that if he was to go out and face any normal pirate he would get slapped to death, so Roger thought about quitting. Just why didn't he have the constitution of the D's? Why didn't he inherit it? Is it because he's not a direct blood relative? He is now the big cousin of Monkey D. Dragon. But in future the government will confront the Revolutionary Army. Garp chased the pirate king Roger, who was strongest of the world. There was also Luffy, Roger's nephew, the original protagonist in One Piece. Note. Probably Luffy is 6 years old now. Every one of them is so outstanding. With such a background, it's no wonder that Roger feels so pressured. After all, the Marine, the pirate and the Revolutionary Army possess great power. Furthermore, even mere recruits are stronger than him, and maybe someday they will just start bullying him to vent their anger. Even the Marine headquarters is not safe. In addition, the future wars, if he joined he will just be suiciding. If someday did something wrong he will be dead. He felt so wronged. He shook his head while trying to forget all this messed up stuff. Those things are in the future, let's concentrate on training and getting stronger. He felt so heavy after the training finished. Roger sat and closed his eye. He stayed like that for a while. He started to see a hazy space. In the center of that space he could clearly see a sword suspended in the air. It exists in his head. It was like this after his soul fused with the original's body. Roger called this the soul system. If you look carefully you could see that this sword is cracked all over. As if it will break at any time. With a thought of Roger, a thing like a property bar directly pops out in front of him. The first stage, Broken Sword of the Soul +10, did not meet the strengthening conditions attributes. Attack power +0 stamina, 10 out of 10. Why did the stamina stop raising even after all this training? Is 10 the limit? Looking at the property bar, Roger talked to himself. And it seemed there isn't any system sister that will explain to him. This system didn't even talk to him once. Roger was trying to know of its function alone all this time. At first it was like this, the first stage, the Broken Sword of the Soul +0. After that Roger found that practicing and fighting will increase the energy point, and when those points reach a certain value it will strengthen the broken sword in his soul. And the strengthening goes from the Broken Sword of the Soul +0 to into a Broken Sword of the Soul +1 and so on. At first Roger didn't feel any change, but when it reached +5 he could feel that his fist power increased significantly. Until it reached +10, although Roger's still in the bottom of the camp, but you could feel that he isn't someone who just entered here. Roger thought he could rely on this system and strengthen himself infinitely so he could stand above the 4 emperors and the 3 admirals. Who would have known that the strengthening will cease at +10? It seemed like it reached the limit of strengthening and could no longer go on. But in the property bar there was those words, did not meet the condition to strengthen. Roger could feel that if he fulfilled that condition it would produce a qualitative change to his powers. But he didn't find the way yet. What is this so-called condition? What is it? Roger looked at the words and started to meditate again. The rest time was over. Roger still couldn't think of anything while the commander's voice reached his ears, so he opened his eyes and returned to train. Soon after, another day of training was over. Roger and the other recruit are not as weak as normal people. But his performance was poor, so even if someone looked down at him he will just ignore him. After the end of the training, Roger will leave the training ground. The Marine headquarters has a huge harbor and could accommodate hundreds of thousands of people training in the square. Also there is a place for the soldier's family to live, and that is the fortress below. Of course at first Roger didn't live here. He was taken by Garp to Marineford. But now this is his home now. Garp wasn't home. Roger didn't know where his uncle went. Well, he's too lazy to care. He took a shower and resumed studying the sword in his mind. However, Roger rushed out of the bathroom to see someone on his sofa. His uncle was missing for a week now. He didn't know when he will be back, but here he is. This guy. Roger sighed helplessly. This guy suddenly disappeared for a week. If he didn't know that Garp is the hero of the sea, standing on top of the seas, he would have reported him as a missing person. At this time Garp was sitting there playing with something. When he saw Roger he grinned. Ha 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 ha, how have you been in the last few days? Does it matter how I did the last few days? You just want to touch where it hurts. Roger mumbled and then smiled a little while watching Garp and said, I didn't see you for a week. I was so worried. I am glad you're okay. Garp's expression instantly solidified and almost sparks of blood shot out. This sentence is really well said. It didn't seem like an insult at first with his nephew's smiling expression. It resulted in 10,000 points of internal injuries. With his mouth twitching, Garp with black line on his head looked at Roger. Gestures to his huge fist and said, Roger, you smelly brat, do you want to kiss my old man's iron fist? That is still left to you to enjoy it. Roger said, then shrugged his shoulders at Garp and went to his room. But at this time Garp suddenly jumped at him and said, Roger, come and kiss my fist. This guy really want to beat me now. In Roger's mind this idea suddenly appeared. To tell the truth, he already experienced his fist of love several times. But when he turned around, the thing that was in front of him wasn't Garp's fist but a simple and exquisite sword. End of Chapter 1. To be continued. Chapter 2. Strengthening.